Would you like to work closer to home, save money on gas, and be rewarded for your hard work and attendance? Then Bellisio Foods is looking for you. That's right, Bellisio Foods is now hiring for multiple positions and shifts with great employee benefits, an on-site health clinic, competitive wages, and advancement opportunities. Bellisio Foods is a company that truly values their employees. Apply online at BellisioFoods.com/careers.
And welcome to our morning show right here on Main Street TV, where we have two very, very special guests here in the studio. And little Marla's here too, which one of these days we're going to get him to talk. One of these days. But anyway, two lovely ladies from Holzer, and we're going to be talking about all things wound care today, which is so very, very important. And we are so fortunate to have Holzer and the Wound Care Center, because so many people need it, and you wouldn't think so, but they do. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, could you all introduce yourselves so our viewers know who you are?
Sure. My name's Mandy Leach. I'm an RN, and I'm the clinical nurse manager for Holzer Wound Care Centers of Jackson and Gallipolis.
Okay.
And I am Rachel Kearns. I am the program director of Holzer Medical Center Jackson and Gallipolis as well.
Very good. Well, welcome, girls. And we are sans Hannah today, but that's okay because she's, like
on vacation.
Her kid's getting married and stuff. So we'll let her have a
slide
this time.
You could at least tell her hi. Hi, Hannah.
Hi, Hannah. If you're watching, we miss you. Well, girls, first off, you were telling me it is Wound Care Month. So let's talk about that for a moment.
So it is Wound Care Awareness Month. So basically we just are trying to make patients in the community more aware of what wound care is and what services that we provide at our wound care centers.
Which is a lot.
We do, yes.
Very good. And okay, so yes, and letting people know what services you provide. I guess could we get into some of those and some of the specifics, because there are so many people that need to utilize your services.
Yes. So our patients, as a new patient, they come in, their first appointment is usually around 90 minutes. And then we have them come back usually the same day, see the same provider every week until they heal out. The visits after your first visit, they're not as long. So,
but it's just a full assessment.
Yes,
basically.
yes, yep.
Yeah.
So every week the wounds are cleaned, measured, if they need like a weekly debridement by the provider, and then we get them dressed up. If they have trouble like dressing their wounds at home, we'll collaborate with like home health, try to get them services like that to get some help with their wounds and their dressings.
That makes total sense. What are the ways that people get to Holzer or to the Wound Care Center?
You don't have to have a referral, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
So if you have a wound that you're concerned about, you can call us directly. We have a direct line, and then we can get you scheduled with the provider.
Okay.
So
what is the number there?
The number for Jackson is 740-395-8484, and the one for Gallipolis is 740-446-5700.
Okay, so just remember that. Or Dylan will remember it and put it up here in just a moment. The magic of the internet. He can type things out. So wound care is a huge thing. So many people need to utilize the services. I guess diabetics come to mind, but there are so many other folks that need that as well. Who all utilizes your services?
So what type of wounds that we do see, because we are an outpatient wound care center, we see diabetic ulcers of the lower extremity or of the foot. We see a lot of pressure sores. We see a lot of venous leg ulcers, arterial ulcers. We see some like acute stuff like burns or abscesses or dog bites or
never even thought about
spider bites. Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So how does that get from a spider bite to wound care?
depending on the type of spider that it is. Like, we've seen a lot of patients that's been bit by like a brown recluse spider, and some of them,
that sounds horrible.
yes, some of them, by the time they get to us, they've already had like surgery, and then they come to us.
So what does the spider bite do to you that you end up in wound care?
I assume their venom just like attacks your tissue. And then it just,
God, we were just talking about ticks yesterday. I thought that was bad. Way to just ruin my summer. Just like lock myself inside.
right?
Ugh. Sounds horrible.
I don't even know what a brown recluse looks like, so.
I don't know. Dylan, find out what a brown recluse spider looks like so that we know to run from it.
Just stay away from them all.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. No, there are all kinds of.
Say that again.
It's a brown
Recluse.
I think it's RECLUSE. I think. I think he found it because he just went ugh. Okay, he's gonna put one on so that we know what it looks like. But no, there are a lot of good spiders out there. The wolf spiders are supposed to be super good, and they look scary as heck. So
There we
your
go.
brown recluse spider. If you see that bugger, just run. Because evidently you'll end up in wound care.
I know, that thing is-
I mean, not all
looking.
not
No,
all
not all. No, I
bites,
know.
but
I'm
some
just
of them do. Yes.
But I can't believe that that's even a thing. Like, that is wild. And I guess, I mean, so Kevin Aston, our health commissioner, was in yesterday and talking about their new health department right across from Holzer, across the highway there. But we were talking about ticks and how you can get yourself in trouble by tick bites now. It used to be, I feel like when we were growing up, it's just like you picked a tick off and off you went. But now there's all of these diseases that the ticks are carrying. So do you ever have any tick bites end up in wound care? Because I could see where that would be a thing too.
I don't recall any, but I'm not saying that we haven't seen a tick bite.
You don't want to be the first. Let's put it that way. So, okay. Well, let's talk about, so I had a guest on the other day, and this guest had a boot on, and I said, "Oh no, are you all right?" And she said, "Well, I'm diabetic, and I did something really stupid." And I said, "Like what?" And she said, "Well, I was just having some foot issues, but I do have some neuropathy, and I was soaking my feet in one of those foot bath things, like you buy it anywhere, Walmart or whatever." And she said, "I didn't realize they get hot on the bottom." And she said, "I couldn't feel it, and it literally burnt my foot." And she said, "I've been in wound care because of it." And she said, "So I would like to PSA, tell anybody that those things actually do get hot. And if you do have some neuropathy or any issues whatsoever, you don't feel it, and it can physically burn you." And I never in a million years would have thought that.
Yes. In the wintertime, we see a lot of that because where the patients do have the neuropathy and maybe they're using an electric space heater and they're getting their legs and their feet up too close to the heater and
they can't feel it.
No, and they get burned.
That's really a thing.
It really is. And then them being a diabetic delays their healing. So
Wow.
if their sugar is uncontrolled, but
Yeah.
yeah, it does delay their healing.
That is wild. You know, just like things that you just don't think of on the daily that, you know, you go anywhere and you see those foot things everywhere. You don't think that they're actually dangerous. So there's your little public service announcement for the day. Okay, so you talked about you don't have to be referred to wound care. So what would diabetics be the patients that you see the most, or I'm just curious.
I would say
so.
yes. I mean, we do the majority of our patients are diabetics or somebody with like a pressure ulcer. We do see a lot of venous ulcers as well.
What is that?
So it's like a venous insufficiency. They get these, we always check like lower extremity, like your vascular status.
Oh.
So if you've got poor circulation, then that's also going to delay a wound being healed. So a lot of the patients that come with the venous ulcers, they're like reoccurrent. So we do a lot of compression therapy on them to try to because their lower extremities are really swollen at times. So we do compression therapy on them, and it just pushes that fluid on out and helps the wounds heal a lot quicker.
Is that why people wear compression socks and hose and things like that? How does that work?
It just helps keep the fluid.
It just keeps things moving?
Correct. Yep.
So how do you end up with poor circulation? Is that a genetic thing? Is it something that you've done with your lifestyle? How does that happen?
Well, I've always heard, us ladies cross our legs. So, but I'm not saying that does, but smoking.
But we're supposed to be proper.
Smoking is probably one of the number one. That decreases the circulation.
I feel like we always end up back at smoking.
So, if we find an issue with your vascular status, we do have a vascular physician at Holzer that we do refer to, and he will see if he can't, there might be some sort of blockage somewhere in their lower extremity. So, he'll see if he can't fix it by means of stenting purposes, just like you would stent your heart. During a heart cath, there's a procedure that he can
do that in your legs or whatever?
Yep.
Oh, to open up.
Yep. To increase your circulation. Yes.
Okay. And if you don't treat this, what can happen?
Well, your wound will definitely not heal. And if depending on the severity of it, you could lose your leg or foot.
So this is not something to mess around with, I guess, is kind of my point of asking that question. Don't avoid it. It's not going to go away on its own if you have. So how do you know when it's time to go to wound care? Is there a time where you're someone comes in, you're I just put a Band-Aid on it and go home? Or is there any time where people are premature in coming to see you?
I think so. A lot of people try to think that they can take care of it themselves. And then I think sometimes it gets so bad to where they come to us because then they need our help. So we see some chronic wounds, which is wounds that are not healed within 30 days.
Okay.
So those are more kind of like your diabetic foot ulcers. More of the acute stuff that we see is, somebody that's knocked their leg on the corner of their car door a couple months ago. Well, there's a reason that's not healing. So that's why we would check for your circulation status, what's your nutrition status. So a lot of those things can affect why those wounds are not healing. So when they would need to come to us if they're trying to treat it by themselves is like I said, delayed wound healing, any redness, swelling, drainage, pain, increased pain.
Okay, that makes total sense. And are there things that people that I know every case is different, so this is in generalities, but are there suggestions that you have for people that are doing something, trying to treat themselves at home before they come to see you? Is there any suggestions for that?
I guess it just depends on your medical history.
Yeah.
If you're a diabetic, I would definitely suggest getting into the wound care center.
Be proactive instead of reactive. It seems
instead of keeping a wound for months. We could get you hopefully healed up, in weeks.
And it doesn't hurt to come.
No.
Soon. It's better to come and realize, we don't need to come back every week.
Right.
Yep.
That's what I was thinking.
So a lot of people think scabs are good, and they're not. And that's
But
what
they're so fun to pick at.
I know. But every week when they come for their debridement, the physicians do a debridement, which they take a little curette and they scrape off all the dead tissues. By doing so, that creates and promotes good, healthy, granulated tissue.
Okay, let's back up and go through that in more normal, common terms.
So they just take this little utensil, sharp utensil, and they scrape off any necrotic, meaning dead, yellow, black-looking tissue.
Okay.
Skin.
Yep. And
Okay.
but we numb it up a little bit first.
Okay,
So
that's
it's
even
not
better.
just a
You're
painful.
scary. They don't just pour alcohol down in it.
No.
Here, take that.
No. They're very gentle.
Yes, they are. So no, so scabs. So does that mean like at home you're supposed to pick your scabs off because you've been told about don't pick.
Well,
your
a lot of
scabs.
times too, I mean, maybe there is good tissue under the scab, but then
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of times where there is a big abscess infection growing underneath there. So that's another reason why, we encourage weekly wound care visits.
So here's the thing: they know and you don't. So just come see the experts and they can help you out.
Yes.
Yeah. So what would a typical, like, obviously, I guess, you talked about the leg ulcers, bed sores, I'm sure are a thing for people that, have, maybe they're, healing from a surgery or something like that. And sometimes bed sores can happen quickly.
Yes.
So those are something, of course, the diabetic thing, but say, pick a wound, any wound, and kind of go through like what a person's treatments would be like, just so that we can kind of give our viewers an idea of what they would experience.
So at your visit, you would be brought back to an exam room. There's an intake process where we undress the wound, we clean the wound, we measure it every week, and then we put it like a topical lidocaine. It's like a numbing cream on the wound.
Yes.
Then the provider comes in, does any kind of debridement if necessary. I mean, it's not necessary every week, but the provider still needs to take a look. And then once the provider's done, one of us nurses go back in and get them dressed up, and they're out the door.
Okay, and here's the thing. I'm sure a lot of people avoid coming because maybe they're embarrassed.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think?
No.
No? Okay. That's good. I hope
A lot
not.
of people that wait and then when they get to us say, I should have come sooner.
Yeah. Like, oh no, what have I done or not done? Very good. Okay. So, this says something about the delayed effects of radiation and HBO, and I assume that you're not meaning the HBO in
TV.
which we watch at home. So
No.
I'm supposed to ask you about that.
So what HBO stands for is hyperbaric oxygen treatment.
Ah.
Yes. We have hyperbaric oxygen chambers here at Jackson, and we have 2 also in Gallipolis.
That sounds fancy.
Oh, it's just 2 great big acrylic chambers that our patients lie in for about 2 hours a day, and they receive 100% oxygen. So this 100% oxygen helps go to that wound and helps them heal a little bit quicker, speeds up their process. Now, not every patient that comes into our center is a candidate for HBO. So some diabetics, some bone infections, this delayed effects of radiation, those are kind of more the patients that we treat at our centers with the HBO.
Okay. And so can that get claustrophobic?
It's completely you
Like
can
you
see
can
through
see
it.
it. Okay.
Yeah, it's
All right.
clear all the way through.
Because you hear these horror stories of people with their MRIs, like it's claustrophobic.
Yes.
So this is like you can see all around you.
Correct.
Okay.
So you lay on this gurney. I mean, it's big enough and wide enough. You can lay on your side. You can lay on your back. You could lay on your belly if you wanted.
Okay.
You can watch TV. You can sleep. One of us nurses is back there with you at all times. We
Okay.
can pick up a little phone and talk to you. So I mean, it's not that bad.
Like you can be like, hey, tell me a joke.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My Alexa asked me if she wanted me to tell her a joke the other day randomly, and I was like, okay.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, she was like, hey, Jennifer, would you like me to tell you a dog joke? And now I can't remember the joke, but it was like really bad.
Did you say yes?
Yeah, of course. I'm like, well, why not? It was really bad joke, but anywho. So yeah, pick up the thing. Say, tell me a joke.
I'll do that next time.
So what are your roles within, the wound care center?
So as a nurse, we employ RNs and an LPN. Our LPN is normally our HBO tech, the nurse that sits back there with our patients during that treatment.
The oxygen one, not
Yes.
the home box office.
Correct.
Yeah. You could watch HBO while in the HBO.
Yes, you could.
Mind blown.
So my role is a nurse. I'm a case manager. I work in the clinic. I have direct patient care. I also have duties as far as like I monitor like our productivity, our KPIs, which is our quality indicators. We have certain goals that we try to meet every month as far as our like healing rate. We have awesome patient satisfaction scores. So that's kind of what I do.
There you go.
And so Mandy basically focuses on the clinical side, and I'm more operational side. So
Okay.
like the leadership, the finances, the just making everything's kind of in alignment. But Mandy does an excellent job. We have wonderful staff, and we've actually. You want to talk about our awards that we've won the last couple of years? Well,
That
several
would be,
years.
Yeah, would you?
Yeah.
Love that, because I think I want people to understand that because we live in a small community doesn't mean we don't have nice things, and Holzer is a blessing to us all. So yeah, please tell us.
Yeah.
Toot your horn.
So
Do it.
we have achieved. There's 2 awards: the Center of Distinction and Center of Excellence.
Okay.
And both centers have won both awards. We actually are getting ready to do an announcement for our award for 2023, so more to come on that. We've, I think, achieved those awards since we've been open. Jackson opened in 2012. I know COVID was kind of weird and things, everything was just messed up that year.
No.
there.
Yeah, it was funny. The health commissioner was on yesterday, and it was like, you can't help but just continue to bring that into your conversation because
Yeah.
it just won't go away. But anyway, go ahead.
So there's several
We just
different.
kind of try to write those years off.
Wish we could.
Yeah.
So there's several different metrics that we have to achieve, like when Mandy talks about the KPIs. Like she mentioned, the productivity, our patient satisfaction, which is like surveys that we get back from patients who we've healed out. They'll fill out, it's called Press Ganey, but it's basically a survey about your visit, which I'm sure if you've been to Holzer, you get those in the mail. So your Press Ganey scores have to be a certain percentage and above, which ours are. And then we have a lot of other clinical stuff like outliers, wound healing rate, which all of that has been above the minimum, which means we're healing our patients out like we should.
Yeah.
So-
Or better than.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yes, thank you.
job.
We have a great group.
Yeah. Yeah. And, everybody that I've talked with that's gone, well, it helps because I know you girls anyway, but everybody I've talked with has just said, oh, they're just so sweet out there and they're so nice and they take such good care of you. And so kudos to you guys
Thank you very much.
for doing that as well, because let's just be honest, nobody wakes up in the morning and is like, I get to go to the doctor. Yeah. Or I get to go to wound care. Yeah. But
I
we
do
make it
feel
as
like-
great as possible.
Our patients do become family. I mean, we celebrate things with them. I mean, not only the patient, they bring their family member in with them every week. So
We've had birthday parties.
yeah, we have birthday parties for
Aw, I
them.
love that. I'm coming out for my birthday.
Yeah,
then.
you can.
Okay.
Just let us know.
I'll be like, hey, I need an ice cream cake.
A lot of times too, I mean, this is the only time maybe these patients are getting out of their house or having any kind of, other human interaction. So some are excited to come and see us every week.
True.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. Not necessarily for any procedure, but just to see you humans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, and that's saying something for them. That's a good thing. Okay, so what else can we talk about? Because I know that you guys do so much.
So one thing I just kind of wanted to mention, because I do feel like we probably do have some people out there that are unaware of this delayed effects of radiation. Basically what this is patients that have had cancer and they have had radiation. For example, like radiation, someone that's had prostate cancer and they've had radiation to their abdomen or pelvic area. or maybe a female that's had some sort of female cancer and she's had radiation. So what radiation does, I mean, it kills the cancer, but it also can kill your normal, healthy cells and tissue. So therefore, the patients start experiencing some like signs and symptoms, meaning like painful burning, when urinating, or they have a lot of pelvic pain, abdominal pain. So what this does, I mean, that could make them a candidate for the hyperbarics. So what this does is the hyperbarics is delivering this 100% oxygen, which is oxygenating your plasma, which therefore goes to help promote new healthy cells.
That makes total sense.
And therefore that will kind of help their signs and symptoms.
This would be something perhaps that there's not a wound on the outside.
Correct.
Per se.
Right.
Oh.
Yes. So we do have patients that come to us for HBO that's had this delayed effects of radiation. And I mean, even after like maybe 10 treatments, they are so surprised of how much better they're feeling already.
God, that would just be a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you would just, you don't realize how badly you feel until you don't feel bad anymore.
Right. But I mean, if anybody, has any of those problems, I mean, you can talk to your PCP about it, or you can just give us a call. I mean, I'm more than happy to answer any questions about it.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, you don't necessarily need a referral to get to wound care.
Right.
So, I mean, I think the best thing to do would be to like pick up the phone and make that phone call and say, I don't know, is this something that I should be seen for?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I never even thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no visible source, so that would...
Sometimes. I mean, sometimes there's like, they might have...
Because it gets pretty intense, right?
Right.
Like,
right.
They go right in on the spot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, sometimes that we have seen the patient, I think, had cancer, like, I think maybe on her spine somewhere, and she had some radiation. So she ended up with developing a wound that wouldn't heal due to the radiation. So sometimes you do see wounds, but sometimes there is no wound.
Okay.
So it's all like internally.
Gotcha. Woo.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole other ball of wax to deal with. So here's the thing too, like if you're like, okay, well, I'm watching this program, but I live in Chillicothe, I don't go to a doctor at Holzer. What would you say to that?
It doesn't matter. You can still give us a call.
Yeah. You don't
Chillicothe's not that far away.
Right. Or wherever, you're listening, it's okay. You can go to wound care. You can choose wherever you want to
Correct.
go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you don't have to have that referral anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah. So when someone comes to see you all for the initial visit, what should they bring with them? What information would you need?
We would need like a copy of their medications, allergies. That's very important. I mean, they can bring some of their past medical history or records if they're not, a current patient at Holzer.
Okay.
A lot of times we can pull those things from our other system.
Okay.
But those are really primarily the two things that I would ask that you bring.
Okay. Very cool.
Because
the normal information.
Right. Medications and allergies is pretty important. If we would need to like prescribe an antibiotic or something like that, we would need to know, make sure your allergies are correct. Or
are there people that don't know the answer to that question?
If you have any allergies
or medications, like
yes.
what medicines you take?
Yes.
I guess if you get on a lot of stuff, it would be hard to remember all the names of them.
If they don't bring them their initial visit, then we just ask them to bring it back the next time.
Okay. I mean, I have a dog that's on so many so many pills, I can't remember all of them. So, okay. So what else would you all like to tell our viewers while you're here?
We can talk about our providers.
Yes. And our hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
So our hours at both locations are 8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. And then in Jackson, we have Hannah Bachtel, one of our providers. Maybe she's watching. And then we also have Dr. Seth Kearney.
Love him.
Yep. He's podiatry. And then Dr. Mayerzon.
And then we have Dr. Riffle starting.
Yep. And then in July, we have Dr. Riffle starting. So he will be joining us a half a day in July, which will be awesome.
Okay, and in Jackson, you are at the hospital location,
Correct.
right?
Okay. First floor.
Yep.
And then in Galplis, we are in our own separate building. So if you know where the cancer center location is, we're just beside it, basically, behind the Travel Lodge.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, when we opened in 2019, it was a new building. So we're kind of just out there by ourselves.
Cool. And where is that in location to the new Holzer banquet?
We're right in front of it.
Okay.
Our building's right in front of.
I was going to tell you something. This is a sidebar. We had to take beer to a fundraiser from the brewery and to that, what is it called? The innovation.
Leadership and innovation.
Yeah.
I don't know who designed that thing or whatever, but that place is flipping awesome.
It's beautiful.
It is gorgeous. So if you have a meeting or a banquet or because it's able to be divided up, it's able to be opened all the way up. There's a beautiful patio out back. If you need a space to hold an event, Holzer and Gallipolis, I'm telling you, it's where it's at. It is gorgeous. I walked in, I was like, what on earth is going on in here?
Yeah.
This place is awesome.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's got all the technology that you need and all that stuff too. So sidebar. Sidebar ended.
You're good. So in Galplis, we have Dr. Fisher. He's our medical director. I don't think we've talked about him yet, but he's our medical director for both locations. He's been with us since 2012 when Jackson opened. And then we also have Dr. Clark, and Hannah comes to Galplis as well.
Okay.
So,
Hi, Hannah.
Again. So those are our three there.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Oh, he's giving me the finger again. He gives me the finger at the bottom of the hour because we have to play another commercial.
Okay.
So we'll do that, and then we'll be back and talk with the girls some more.
At Vinton County National Bank, we believe in supporting the areas where we live and work. Now, we'd like to honor those who also serve our communities. Our new Community Champions account is especially for first responders, veterans, active military, and anyone employed in the fields of healthcare or education. This account offers rewards, discounts, and other benefits to those who give so much to others. Vinton County National Bank, rewarding those who serve.
All right, and here we are with this ridiculous weather forecast that I don't even want to give. Because here's the thing, it's going to be like in the high 90s for the next several days. Sunday, they are calling for a possibility of some thunderstorms. That doesn't really indicate it, but it's what I was reading this morning. And if those thunderstorms happen to come through on Sunday, it should cool things down, hopefully, by Monday. But I don't know if 87 and 89 really is that much cooler. But okay, that's what we're going to go with.
Very humid out.
It is very, very sticky. And again, please, please, please check your furnace filters. Make sure that the airflow is going through well, because that's a thing. Make sure that your neighbors, your loved ones, your pets, everybody's taken care of. This is my PSA every day. Check on all your friends and neighbors and make sure that they are staying cool. And if they're not, invite them over. How's that?
Very
Have
good.
them over for dinner.
yeah.
That would be the neighborly thing to do
It would.
and the friendly thing to do. And make sure your animals have water. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, all right. Well, what else do we have, girls?
I can't think of anything.
I can't think of
Okay.
anything
I
else.
just want to make sure that I'm not letting you go without,
No.
talking about all kind of great things.
Nothing rings a bell.
Okay. The main thing is, if you have a wound and it's not healing, please come and see these ladies because they are amazing. And they will get you taken care of. It's not going to probably miraculously heal on its own. And you guys have such great tools and things like, I know Hannah way back when was telling me all about like the Manuka honey and all of this stuff. And I'd never heard of it before. And so, those are all things that you all have access to and whatever, that little tips and
Right.
tricks.
We use a lot more than just like antibiotic ointments.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. There's all kind of different healing things. And depending on what the wound is, as to how you would treat it.
correct.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, cool. Well, girls, thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you.
For having us.
We greatly appreciate it. And once again, if somebody needs to talk about wound care, phone numbers.
Jackson is 740-395-8484. And then in Galplus, 740-446-5700.
That's easy to remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, okay. Good deal. All right, girls.
Thank
Well,
you.
we will let you go back to work because
right.
you have very important things to do, like helping people along
Yes.
the way. And I think that Mason should come over and talk to me, don't you?
Yeah.
Come
on,
on,
Mason.
Mason. See ya.
I won't call you little Marla. Thanks, girls.
Thank you.
Come on over, buddy.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm living it up. How about you?
I'm great. So Mason is the new Marla, and Marla and I have worked together for somewhere around 3,023 years. So now here you are, and you're
Yes.
stuck with me.
Yes, and I'm enjoying every second of it.
See, he knows how to say all the right things. But no, so tell everybody kind of your role at Holzer, because you actually bring the guests to us and kind of as an escort, if you will.
Yeah.
So what are all the things that you do? Because it's kind of all behind the scenes stuff, but very important.
So I'm the marketing and advertising coordinator at Holzer. So what my role entails is I help coordinate all of first the big events. So anything that's going on, I help get the resources that we need to make sure that everything's flowing smoothly. If we also need some extra advertisements for our providers or some of our ladies that are looking for some things, they'll reach out to our physician liaison. And
Okay.
they'll let him know, hey, I need some additional marketing, or I'd like to see some more patients, or we got something cool coming up we want to talk about.
Yeah.
Then they'll get in contact with me, and then I will talk with our team, and we'll see what is best for them, where we need to have them interviewed. And we love coming to Main Street.
We love
seeing
having
all of
you
our people
here.
down here, so we come down here quite often. So it's very convenient because you guys are very good here, and you can stream just about everywhere. So we come down here quite often, and it hits everything that we're looking for. And then, so TV, radio, I place billboards, all of our advertisements, I place all of those, all that fun stuff.
You know,
I like to
and
call it the old school advertising, even though I'm young and everyone makes fun of me for saying it.
no, and that's what I was going to ask you next is there's, all of this social media and all of this stuff now that if you would take what you were doing in advertising even 5 or 10 years ago versus today, how have you noticed that it's changed? And this is just in general, I guess as Holzer too, but just in general, as someone that works in advertising.
It has changed drastically. I mean, when I was in school, the way the digital marketing world is now, it's just grown, and it's new every single day. It's changing constantly.
It's so hard to keep up with.
It is, and we're constantly being trained and being educated on new ways of doing things. And while I was in school, they were trying to teach us a little bit of the old school way, but they knew that it was going to change. And basically, when I got done, it was like, yep, it's changed. But then I still
We've taught you all this, but now
Yeah.
don't pay any attention to
Yeah,
it because
and-
we've moved on.
and it's hard because my professors did a very good job of teaching me what they could, but in marketing and stuff, it changes, like I said, frequently. And so yeah, it's just mind-blowing the way that technology is now and the way that you can reach people. So
And the way that people are reached has completely
Yes.
changed. I mean, good grief, I still remember MySpace and all of this crazy stuff before Facebook and and then Facebook was it. And then it was Instagram, and then then Snapchat, and then where are we at now? TikTok
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Threads.
And I remember growing up like newspapers and going to the movie theaters and seeing the advertisements there and
Yes.
TV and all that stuff. And now everyone's got a cell phone in their hand, and they're not like, especially, people are texting and driving, so they're not paying attention to billboards. They're not paying attention to those
They're
things.
texting and driving.
Like, I mean, let's be real here.
Truth.
So,
I mean, you said it.
yeah, I mean, I'm
they're
not saying to
watching
text and
TikTok
drive
as
at
they're
all.
driving.
At all. But, I mean, no one's really paying attention to billboards and all that stuff anymore. So we have to find a way to reach our target audience.
Which you still
which
need to
is-
do all that stuff.
Yes.
Plus all the
Yes,
other,
So it's an additional way of looking into reaching the consumers that we're after.
which makes your job even harder because it's like one or two more things that you have to do. So my husband last night was like, hey, I finally got us signed up for TikTok and Threads for the brewery. And I said, the what? And he said Threads. And I was like, what's that? I didn't even heard of it before.
I've never heard of Threads, so.
He said it's like well, Cheryl knows, you're in marketing. It's the Facebook version of TikTok, kind of. Of
Interesting.
Twitter. Sorry. It's the Twitter of. Yeah.
Okay.
Of
Gotcha.
It's Mark Zuckerberg's Twitter.
Okay.
So yeah, there you go. So now you have to. Well, it's not tweet anymore. What is it? It's X, but
X.
do you say you X'd or?
Yeah, I know. I still say Twitter. So.
Okay.
That's
So
what
does
I
everybody
say.
else.
I X someone. I X'd.
I X'd. It
X'd.
sounds dirty. I X'd.
Yeah, I'll just stick with Twitter.
Yeah, let's just stay with Twitter for sure. So tell us a little bit about yourself. If anybody sees you out and about, where are you from and where'd you go to school and all that?
So I'm from Meigs County originally. I went to Eastern High School, and then I got, thankfully, got an athletic scholarship to Rio.
Okay.
So then I came to Rio on athletics.
What
competed.
athletics?
I did track and field is what I came there for. I continued that throughout my career there, and I also did rugby while I was there.
Oh, fun.
Yes.
Did you play rugby before?
No. So when I was
Are
there,
you nuts? Like, it is insane.
It is. So when I was there, I wanted to go play football in college, but I was constantly getting hurt, and I said, "That's no way to treat my body for looking at long term."
Sure.
So then,
Makes sense.
and I still had a love for track, and so thankfully, Coach Willie reached out to me and asked if I was interested, and I said, "Absolutely." So I went up there and competed in track, and then I met all my great buddies, and I was also in the marketing department there at Rio at the time, and rugby was just getting started.
Okay.
And the coach was coming to us for marketing needs, and they were needing recruitment. And so
You're like, I'm your guy.
my buddies were sold instantly. And I'm like, guys, look, I didn't go play football because I didn't want to be with my body. I'm definitely not playing rugby.
It's
definitely not
It's
happening.
basically football, but with no
Yes.
pads on.
Yeah, so I'm definitely not doing that. And I stayed strong for several months, and then I finally gave in, and I was like, fine, you know what, I'll do it. And then thankfully, I earned some awards and stuff with it, and I had a very good time with it.
Did you stay well?
No, but it was constant. You break your nose quite often. Some people, I did.
Stop. What?
So there's different things. People have their different things when you're playing, but mine was I broke my nose one season and never had enough time to heal, so it was constantly just broken for the whole season. So
Oh, that sounds awful.
yeah, I'll never forget, because in rugby, it's just like soccer and stuff. If there's an injury, the clock doesn't stop. You keep playing, and I'm used to the football setting. So when I was playing, I'll never forget. I was just sitting there gushing blood out my nose, and the trainer comes over in the middle of the field while the game's going on. I'm thinking of stopping, and he shoves those things up in there and says, "All right, you're
Keep
good to
on
go.
going."
Keep going." I'm like, "All right." So then I get up and just keep going.
Oh God.
So I got this lovely photo somewhere. It's like my nose is just ginormous. I'm in the middle of class, and all this stuff, and my face is black. Oh, it's great.
You could have made up. Did you make up like a really good story? Like,
No, I didn't.
I
should've.
saved someone from a burning building, or
No, I didn't, but I should have.
yeah.
Majority of the people knew because they were down watching the game.
And they're like, oh, rugby.
Yeah, that guy over there.
No, that's really cool. What did you do in track and field?
So I was actually a thrower. So
Okay.
I came based off my discus.
Okay.
I was never big enough really to throw a shot put. So I could do it, and I did. But then when I came, I ended up finding a love for javelin. And
That sounds fun.
yeah. So I threw javelin. I threw all of them while I was there throughout my years of rotating between them. But my main event was javelin.
Okay.
So yeah.
Very neat. Just have to watch you don't throw it at someone, right?
Yes, you have to be very careful. You
That
can
would
see
be
videos all
bad.
the time of even officials out in the field have to be careful because depending on way the wind and all that stuff, it can carry towards them.
Yeah. And it's kind of spiky.
Yeah, very
It's
sharp.
a little,
Very sharp.
it's a little sharp. Yeah. Well, very good. Well, I think it's really interesting to talk to you because finding out how marketing has evolved and changed is and again, like tomorrow it's going to be different.
Yep, it's always changing.
This is the way that you have to say it's never boring, right?
Yes. Yes, it's always keeping us on our toes, that's for sure.
That's right. And so do you get to do fun events at the Innovation whatever center?
Yes, the Holzer
It
Leadership
is
Innovation
so
Institute.
cool.
Yes. So actually I'm down there quite a bit with some of our events. It is really nice down there. It's really awesome because I'll never forget the first time I walked in. I was like, wow.
So
like,
same
this is-
impression I got.
Yes, I
Like,
was because I never really knew about it. And I was from the area, and then where it's still newer, and I can't even remember what the first event was. I went in there. I remember setting up, and I was like, wow. And then it's really nice.
it's wonderful. And again, it's a little bit of everything for everybody, whether it be a wedding reception or a meeting or a fundraiser, which is what I was at. It was just the perfect place for all of that.
Yes. Yep.
So how would one rent that place out if
So you can contact our manager down at the gift shop. Her name is Amy Reese. So you can call down there, and she has the form that you can fill out.
Okay.
You can contact any of the ladies down at the gift shop down there at our main hospital, and they can get you.
Okay. So
set
the
up
gift
and-
shop is where you would start.
Yep, it's through our foundation, but the ladies work down there. So if you're down there and just want to slide in and say, hey, I'd like to rent out the leadership building, they can pull out the calendar and get you an application and all that fun stuff.
Awesome. See, now you know. I've helped you out. You're welcome. Well, Mason, thank you for hanging out with
you for
us
always
today.
having us, yes.
And it's always a pleasure to have our friends from Holzer here because I think it's just so important to let the community know all of the great things that you all offer. Because I think they're like wound care, for example. I think there's a lot of people that wouldn't even think about that.
And that's our goal is we want to educate the community around us and let them know that we do have services that can be provided to them so they don't have to travel an hour or two.
Right. You
We
don't have to go to
very
Columbus.
We have a very good staff and providers and nurses that are here locally for you. And that's what
Absolutely.
we're trying to reach and let the community know.
Yeah. And that's why we're here.
Mhm.
So that's why it's a good team, right?
Yes, we have an amazing team. You guys have an amazing team as well. So
Thank
that's why
you.
we like to partner.
Well, all right, Mason, we will let you go so you can get these girls back to work.
Well, thank you for having us again. We
Well,
appreciate
thank
it.
you for coming in. We greatly appreciate it. All right. Well, Cheryl, while you're here, come on over. We're making Cheryl come over too. She doesn't know it. I've got all these people here. Thank you. Hey, you come sit in this room. You're going to talk. See you guys. So this is our friend Cheryl, and Cheryl is new to Total Media. So welcome.
Thank you.
Of course. And you actually moved not from Columbus or something. She moved all the way across the country from California to come work here. Who knew?
That's the way it worked.
How on earth did you end up from California to Jackson, Ohio?
We were looking for retirement properties, and I saw a picture online of a house and the property around it, and I fell in love with the picture, and my husband flew out and bought the house.
It just spoke to you. In little old Jackson, Ohio.
I had never been to Jackson, Ohio.
Where
Before
on-
he came out here to buy it, he had never been here. He had actually never been to this part of the state. The furthest south we had been was Columbus, and there you go. That was 3 years ago.
So where on earth were you looking that you found a property in Jackson, Ohio?
Oh, he had set an alert for the Columbus area,
Okay.
and for whatever reason, this one showed up, and here we are.
And we're so happy
years
to
later.
have you here. Yeah. So what is your role within Total Media as you've been here, a couple of weeks now?
I have been here a couple weeks.
Yeah. So what are you doing?
I am overseeing the social media accounts for all of Total Media, so the Telegram, Main Street TV, the radio stations, zip printing,
All of it.
all of Total Media.
How on earth do you keep track of all that?
A lot of spreadsheets. A lot of notes.
So what's your background?
I spent.
She loves Disney World, by the way.
I do love Disney World. I actually have a degree in communications and a master's degree in organizational management. And I've been doing marketing for a very, very long time. So since the late 80s, I guess.
Okay, a few years.
A few years. I've done consumer products. I've done high-end military electronics. I've done housewares. And I spent the last almost 2 decades in higher education, mostly doing athletics.
Wow, that was a jump. So what all did you do there?
I oversaw all of the marketing for 14 athletic teams at a college.
Okay.
And all their social media, all their journalism, all the writing, all photography, live streaming, everything.
So I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Mason, and I feel like your take will be a little bit different as you and I are, how do I say this? Not Mason's age.
Not Mason's age.
Not Mason's age. And as someone that you said you've been doing marketing since like the late 80s, you've had to have seen some seriously major changes. Like, what were you doing marketing in the 80s versus now?
Well, coming from Southern California to Jackson is very different anyway, because
you think
in our area there's very little of what I learned as traditional journalistic outlets. So local newspapers have become a conglomerate where it's basically covers a very large area. So there isn't as much local news. Radio is much more streamed and satellite radio as opposed to local radio.
Sure.
So a lot of the local news outlets have disappeared in that area. So coming to Jackson is very different because everything is about local news. So
it's what makes us different.
It's back to my roots.
Yeah.
Which is fun. When I first started with the college, we still had local news coverage. So I had an actual reporter that I could deal with, and I could call him when I had a story and say, hey, I've got a story, come out and cover it. Or even as something as simple as write a press release and send it out to somebody. There was somebody to send a press release to.
Sure.
And that's what we have here in Jackson, which is a lot of fun for me. Everything is about being local.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but on top of that, you still have to do all of the other stuff.
Yes. So
the new stuff.
So then we've got social media and all of the website development on the back end of that as well. But social media is constantly changing, like Threads, like TikTok. Dylan's taking care of TikTok with the street teams, and I'm so grateful for that. Because we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok. We are everywhere. Yeah. So, go find Your Total Media. Everything says Your Total Media. So.
Well, and it was interesting in talking with my husband last night as he signed us up for, what did I say, TikTok and Threads. Yes. And he no more said, hey, I got us signed up for whatever. And I had just walked back in the kitchen. And he's like, oh, God, we've got like 8 followers already. And I was like, what? Like, how? And then it just kept like going. And I'm like, how is this even a thing? Like, this is crazy.
In Little Jackson, Ohio.
Yeah. It's nuts. Off one little post, like it's wild. But that's just the thing in which we have to do now. But it's hard. Is it hard for you to kind of wrap your brain around like, okay, well, I'm going to come up with a radio ad or a newspaper ad versus something that you put on Instagram or whatever, because it's like a completely different way of thinking, and it's hard to like
a lot of it is what is the content? Is the content visual? Is it moving visual? Is it audio visual? Is it or is it just text? or is it a static image? And also, who's the audience? Like,
Yeah.
who are you talking to? So, because
Right.
if we're on TikTok, we're talking to a very different audience than people that are on Facebook.
Then or reading the newspaper.
Very much so.
Yeah, for sure.
And reach is very different as well. Our newspaper goes out locally versus social media goes out everywhere.
Which could be globally. So it's all that. Where do you see, as you've been in this for a few years, because we're not Mason's age, where do you see it going from here? I mean, are there going to be more social media outlets? And I mean, is this going to be it? What do you think?
Just when I think that there isn't going to be another one, then another one
Here
jumps
we go.
into the mix. And it's ever changing. I remember when MySpace was a thing, because I'm not Mason's age.
I mentioned that. Yeah, I'm like, I remember that.
And
like
that- and
Dylan's
that-
probably like, what are you talking about?
There you go. And that went away. I think it's constantly evolving. There's some fatigue that comes because there are so many
Yeah.
on this side. But most people are not everywhere. They're not on every single type of media. I meet people all the time that
Right.
are like, no, I'm not on Facebook. Or like, my son is not on Facebook, but he's on Instagram. So, so our idea is that we have to hit everywhere to hit as many people as we can.
Which makes the marketing director or marketing person's job almost impossible, but very stressful.
A lot of spreadsheets.
Yeah. Yes.
A lot of
of spreadsheets. But you do have to be a little bit of everything to everybody. And that's the way of the world right now. And, there's all of these things like, for example, COVID, boosted Snapchat right up into the top of the chain. And I don't know. I mean, it probably would have still gotten there, but it really gave it like that push.
And same with TikTok.
TikTok's what I meant.
You have this view of a person's life, especially during lockdown when people couldn't get out. You had a view of their home in very short bursts, and that's where the power of
TikTok.
Instagram and TikTok come into play. It's very short bursts, and it plays into lower attention spans. You can grab somebody very quickly, and it's done before they've tired of it. They move on to something else.
It was funny too, because so Jamie comes in this morning. He's like, I understand how people go down the rabbit hole. And what I mean by that is you just start watching, and then the next thing you know, like 5 minutes has gone by.
Or 3 hours.
Yes. And you've watched like 700 TikToks.
And the little warning comes up that says, you might want to stretch, basically.
Yeah. Like get your butt up and do something. But it is, and you understand how people get like stuck on that. So
Well, you don't realize how long you've been watching because the videos are so short.
that's the problem.
Is you're watching for 15 seconds, and then you move on to another video, and it's 15 seconds, and you watch another video, it's 30 seconds, another one's 15 seconds. And so you're never actually sitting down and committing to like an hour-long TV show or an hour-long
Right.
program. They're only little 15 seconds, but they all add up. But
they add up to an hour.
Yeah, it's like going grocery shopping or going shopping. It's you're throwing things in the basket. You don't realize how much money you're spending, but everything starts to add up all together.
There
It's like
you
going to
go.
the dollar store. Well, it's only $1. It's only $1. It's only $1.
$50 later.
$50 later, you're like, what did I spend? That's TikTok.
Exactly. Very well said. Very well said. Well, Cheryl, we're going to sucker you into hanging out with us more often. She always tries to just sit over there and do marketing stuff, and we're not going to let her do that because she has so much information. I would love to hear about California
all my
sometime.
moving stories.
And well, that was going to be a thing too. I was going to ask you about your moving across the country is not easy. Let's put it that way. So we'll have you back on sometime. We'll talk about that if that's okay.
Sure thing.
And welcome to Total Media. We're so happy to have you here. Of course. All right. Well, thanks to our friends from Holzer today. We greatly appreciate them stopping by. Again, if you have any wound care issues, just give them a call. They'll be very happy to help you out. And they are so sweet there. So, and don't forget, it is Wound Care Month, National Wound Care Month. All right. So we will be back tomorrow with what? News, Dylan? Some news. So have a wonderful day. Again, stay cool.
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated, stay cool. We'll see you right back here tomorrow with some news. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.